on the lessons gained through the experience of duality. August 16, 2014. What is the purpose of a light shining if there is no darkness to illuminate and define its brilliance? The light requires darkness to define itself and to become obvious to those who have developed the needed sensitivity to comprehend, see, and feel it within themselves. In an email, one of my readers commented that our planet is the only world that experiences duality. This statement is not entirely true, but one that some light workers believe, perhaps out of fear of what they are experiencing here. It is a belief not grounded in my experience of the lighted worlds, what I am beginning to remember. Duality exists up to the very level where Divine Mother split from Divine Father in order to create the physical realms. Duality exists up to the very throne of the Creator and then ends. However, the duality that we experience on planet Earth is that which has been drawn to the very extremities of what can be experienced anywhere within the physical realms of creation, which are vast and currently incomprehensible to the human egoic mind. A mind that is closed to the possibility that duality exists elsewhere, even on their own homeworld, is still not comprehending that darkness exists here, within themselves and within all other living creatures. There is a purpose for this, one that I am not sure I have the words to articulate, but that I feel. On Earth, during the last 15,000 years or so, since the advent of the forces of darkness, or what has become known by various names as the Illuminati, Team Dark, the Loyal Opposition, etc., darkness has been used by these beings on purpose to induce fear in the hearts of mankind. Even these so-called evil ones fear the darkness that they engender through their sadistic rituals. They have used the dark arts to manipulate the energies upon the earth so they can retain control of the people. The beings who are, in turn, their masters, come from the higher dimensions, from the fourth dimension and on up into, at least, the sixth. Duality does exist elsewhere. These beings know it and use it. And they have purposefully used the metaphysical arts themselves while openly condemning those who would use the same forces for the purpose of enlightening the world, to keep the illiterate masses in the dark about the true power that every human being can command if they are ready to assume the responsibility that goes along with it. Why would one want to deny the existence of darkness within, when that very darkness can ultimately prove to be the source of their own power? I'm not talking here or suggesting that you take up the dark arts and mimic the actions of Team Dark. No, I am simply pointing out that the darkness that everyone seems to be afraid of is actually the divine feminine essence of each person, something that has been missing for centuries from our world. Our world is in trouble simply because the male essence of humanity has been allowed to command and destroy. The active element of our beings needs to be balanced by the passive, intuitive part, the feminine essence that dwells within each human being, acknowledged or disinherited. Who was in power when the darkness fell upon this planet? The priestesses of the Law of One. Many goddesses reigned over the earth, teaching their priestesses, and bringing enlightenment and culture to the indigenous people here. Have you ever wondered why anything feminine has been so hated and suppressed by the beings who have been in control for the last 10,000 years or so? They fear the power of a truly balanced being, a human being who has command over both his masculine essence and his feminine essence. Why are women, and for that matter, the people of indigenous cultures, put down and marked for destruction by the forces of Team Dark? It is because they fear the power that potentially exists within each fully balanced, ascending being. They know that if word were to go out to the masses that by becoming a balanced human, that you can transcend the influence of Team Dark, then they would lose control of this planet and many others that are currently under their sway, within this universe. The indigenous peoples of the planet have known forever how to live with the planet, within the rhythms of the planet, within her cycles of destruction, creation, and transformation. Their spiritual leaders often have carried down or experienced themselves visions of what is to happen. Their myths and legends are grounded in their unique experience of life here on planet Earth. They do not need books to figure out how a plant grows, what food is good to eat, or how an animal behaves, for they or their teachers have observed all of these things with their own eyes and other senses. They are at one with the earth, and she holds these people close to her bosom. Yet all who exist here can and will be tested and go through trials of fire, death and desolation, for that is the way of the extremities of duality that have been experienced within the last several ages of the earth, for centuries. The pain and suffering that has been experienced here has been labeled by many as being bad. To spirit, to that greater part of you that exists in the lighted worlds, the pain and suffering has simply been the result of experience. You cannot truly learn what it is that another suffers unless you have walked in his or her shoes, that is, been there yourself. How do you expect to teach the beings of other worlds to whom many of you will be sent in future lifetimes to enable them to break free of the bonds that have darkened their worlds? Those of you who have experienced some form of trauma within your lifetime here, or are still experiencing difficulties, it is not that you have failed to comprehend the laws of manifestation or have failed some test, for you may be in the process of taking on the karma of many others, even thousands of other human beings in order to bring it back into balance. That is what karma is, balance. If you kill a person in one lifetime, you must go back and perform some deed that will energetically bring the balance back to neutral. That does not mean you will be killed in this lifetime, although it is a possibility if you do not work to clear all fear and negativity within your own being. It is not wise to judge the sufferings of others. Some light workers take on the manifestations of disease or disabilities in order to balance great chunks of karma for others. Some light workers have also to balance their own dark roles played out in the drama that has been experienced within the last centuries. A few days ago, I was watching a documentary on the great shoguns of Japan. When I learned that my mate and I lived as husband and wife in Japan, I knew at once that he had been, at the very least, a samurai warrior, and most likely a shogun. In order to gain power in that extremely violent culture, divided as it was between warring war leaders, it was necessary to be bigger and badder than the opposition. I know that my mate holds rank as a commander in the forces of the Galactic Federation of Light. He is experienced in the arts of both war and peace. He was one of the great shoguns who was able to command the military forces of Japan to such a degree that for a few golden years, peace reigned in that benighted country. As military leader or shogun, he commanded more power than the ineffectual royal court, and was able to give peace to the people of the country. Under his reign and patronage, the arts were able to flower and flourish, for a time, until the next cycle of destruction began upon his death. Such has been the experience of this planet, but that is soon to change. The extreme dualism that has been experienced here will be lessened to a great degree, but duality will still exist, for it is a necessary part of physical existence. And for those light workers who believe that living in the fifth dimension will be all play and no work, I have this to say: grow up. You will have jobs and careers, you will be mated, and some of you will have children. There are different cultures and traditions and peoples who exist, human beings of other species, who exist on the lighted worlds within this galaxy and universe, who experience some form of duality or another. This is not the only world where duality exists. Only one of the only ones where it exists in such levels of contrast to engender pain and suffering. The experiences of the soul essence that I share with young Joseph, the one whom his people called in English thunder rolling down the mountains, were painful to the extreme. He was unable to fulfill the wishes of his father, old Chief Joseph, and retain the age-old claim of the people upon the lands that extended from the Snake River well into the area now called the Eagle Cap Wilderness, as part of the lands of the Whitman-Wallowa National Forest. Due to the guilt he felt and took upon himself, part of his spirit remained, separated from the light, to act as a guardian spirit for his people and the land from which his physical self was torn and bereft. When I encountered the spirit of Joseph and he entered my body, I felt no fear. Our energies meshed as if they were meant to do. I didn't fully understand what was going on then, but the process of reblending our energies so that he might go home with me began that day. All his suffering, all his lingering as a spirit guardian of the land has come home in the resurgence of his people and that of other tribes who are now returning to balance, able to reconnect with their spiritual essence and power as sovereign beings. There is much to be done among these indigenous peoples, as many of the souls currently embodied amongst them are the souls of those soldiers and civilians who took part in the destruction of the indigenous cultures. Thus, karma comes full circle and the great wheel of life is remade. Balance is attained once more by all who participated in the drama of life, in the great cycle of destruction, creation, and transformation. Last night, I performed a simple yet extremely powerful act of spiritual cleansing on the part of all who participated in that great drama. My Syrian friend, T, told me of a manner of clearing that she was guided to use by one who is called the Goddess of Change, Lady Claudine. This same lady is, like myself, a member of the Vakup family of the Pleiades, and she is my aunt, in truth. Lady Claudine gave my friend a mission, to assist in the cleansing of the astral fields above the great battlefields of the civil war in this country, which was fought between the North and South, allegedly over whether or not slavery would be allowed to exist. It was actually an economic war, but that is another tale best told by someone with more grasp of the manipulation of the world's economies by Team Dark. Simply put, the healing technique is to ask or command the angels to place great pillars of light within a certain landscape, and therein invite all soul fragments who have lingered there to break free of their perpetual cycle of sufferings so that they might walk into the light and return home. I am writing of this technique so that other light workers might utilize it in their own homelands, for the astral realm is filled with the fragments of souls who have suffered long. Why is this work so important, and why has it not been shared before? It must be done by people who have no interest in utilizing the energies of these stolen ones for themselves. You must be a balanced human being, capable of remaining neutral in the face of great suffering. The pain and fear suffered by these lost ones has served as food, literally, to feed the insatiable appetites of the entities who have sought to keep this world under their control. Why must you be balanced in order to do this work? You must be strong within yourself, balanced and capable of shielding your auric field, because you will become a target of Team Dark, as a consequence of doing this work. It is a reality that many light workers do not want to face and perhaps are not ready to face, for they have not done enough of their own personal clearing to be able to maintain the necessary stance of neutral strength and determination, in order to accomplish this important work. I'm not here to point out the weaknesses that I see in others, yet you must know yourself well enough to stand in the light and to be the light warrior that you are in higher realms. It is easier to do in the lighted worlds than it is to do here, dear ones. Be prepared. Be strong. Be true to your own spirit and those who look to you to act as an example. This includes, not only those who are currently wearing physical bodies, but also those who linger as ghosts or soul fragments in the astral plane, and who can clearly read your energy field and hear your thoughts. So, what did I do with this clearing technique? Since joining with the soul fragment or aspect that was Joseph, I have within me the memories of what he and his people went through during their flight from the American military forces. And within this lifetime, I have either lived or traveled through many of the lands through which the rainbowabundance passed. Therefore, I had a right, even an obligation to call upon the angels of Archangel Michael to create great tubes of light across this entire landscape, extending from Wallowa Lake to the boundary lands between the state of Montana and Canada. And then I called forth the spirit guides of both the native people and the soldiers to stand forth and call out to their people. I did this before I went to sleep last night. When I woke up this morning, I could feel a great joy within. And Joseph told me, with tears in his dark eyes, that all of his people stepped forth into the light. Now, he was truly free to go home with me, and truly blessed for having been a guardian of his people for so long. The human collective is one. That means all who are embodied here, whether conscious members of Team Dark or Light, or simply here, are all members of the human collective. The ones who agreed to play the roles of Team Dark in this lifetime, have, in many instances overplayed their hands and have become enamored of power, position, and wealth, and are unwilling to give up all that they now regard as their own. They will be required to balance this misuse of power in future lifetimes, and they will. Do not be so foolish as to be required to join them by standing in condemnation of what they have done, for their departure from the letter and spirit of their soul contracts has enabled many a human being to break free of the culture of hatred and fear that has been engendered for so long, in order to control the masses of humanity from finally coming into their own power and beauty. This special blend of humans that has been developed upon this planet has a great destiny before it. That destiny will be taken up when the race, that comes from the genetic material of many star races, finally graduates to adulthood. That time, the beginning of the cycle in which this great transition begins, is upon humanity. They have a choice, to linger in the shadows and to fall back into darkness, or to step forth into the brilliance of their own Christ light and claim their sovereignty, power, grace and will. This choice is also upon those who are the way showers for humanity, the volunteer light workers. You are the new leaders, perhaps not through the usual manner, but in how you comport yourself in your daily lives, how you take care of yourself and how you treat others. If you continue to wallow in the delusions of victimhood and turn away from the possibility that you are a being of great power and strength, you will continue to suffer along with the rest of humanity who are resisting the changes that are coming upon them, not just through outer circumstances, but also from within, from their own spiritual essence that keeps their physical vehicles alive and functioning. Step into that flame of living fire that you are, and claim your light and love as your own. Be true to yourself and you will be true to others, for in truth, you are one. Namaste. Tasjima Amaria Kumara Vakup etc., etc. P.S. For those lightworkers who feel that they are ready to do this kind of work, my friend, T, reminded me that it is on the angels of resurrection that you call. Angels have specific duties and assignments, but do require the permission and participation of an embodied light being/light worker on the planet to go forth and complete this work. For this we have come here, my darlings. We are the embodied angelic beings who command our brethren to do the work for us, which we are also doing in the lighted realms, for we are one. Elizabeth Ayres Escher. www.bluedragonjournal.com